right? That's a procedure. You have the policy, but then now you got some procedural things that we're going to need your assistance on, because the way we've written this is it's $2,000 no matter what. So you can have multiple children, you're paying $2,000 for each of those children. And it becomes difficult because people have twins and they have triplets. And that's where it becomes very difficult in the decision-making process. But I'm just letting you know as we're going through this, those are procedurally based on the decision of what the fee is. And that's the decision the board is making. This is the fee, and we'll come back with the procedures in order to give you an idea of how we're going to fulfill the expectation that you've bestowed upon us. But really, there's 3 decisions now that we're going to have to make. Because the first one, the scenario 1, which is a reduction in our staff. Okay, it's a reduction in staff. Do you have that slide by any chance? Because I know some people were not there. The first one is a reduction in our staff. It's approximately 7.5 from the middle school. So it's a reduction 7.5 from the middle school. 2.5 if you don't have a fee for the kindergarten. It's a reduction of 2.5 from kindergarten. And then we have 1 support staff for a total of 11. And that meets that expectation of $883,000. Which, by the way, and I want the public to know this, the board does not want to reduce. That's not what we want to do. We want to keep programs the way they are. We want to keep the programs the way we are. And I'm going to say this over and over and over. The taxpayers have spoken, not once but twice, overwhelmingly, that we need to prove that we can balance our budget. And it's difficult, but we have to do it. The first year we had no cuts. Second year we reduced by $750,000. Now we're in year 3, and we've talked about this quite a bit. And so now we're following through with an expectation that we have to balance our books. So with that being said, you have the 7.5 from the middle school, 2.5 from the elementary if you choose not to apply a fee, and you have 1 support staff. What that will result in, so we're clear, what that will result in is slightly higher class sizes in the middle school. And if we go back in time, the board wanted smaller class sizes in K through 4, smaller class sizes in K through 4, slightly larger over time in 5 through 8. Right now, if you were to look at it, except for grades 3 and grades 5, our class size is around 24 on average. 3 and 5 are the anomaly because, and I'll have those straight classes from time to time. Sometimes you have some classes that bump up around 29, and it becomes more complex because there's requirement under special ed law, the federal law, in terms of the number of kids that are in this classroom. But aside from my 3rd and 5th, which is approximately 28 on average, we're pretty level. But this changes it because now we're looking at 21 to 24 in K through 4, 25 to 29. And so I just want you guys to know in advance, because if I was to go forward, if we were to go forward with this, from time to time you may hear that there may be a class of like 31. That can happen. Because with special ed, I have a 70-30 law. And it's 70%, 30%. It's there in place to protect our special ed students. And at the same extent, it's there to protect our general education students. But really, we know we can basically follow through with the scenario 1 that the board has asked us to follow through. Now it's at the point where we need to make a decision, decision 1, decision 2, and decision 3. A fee for the all-day kindergarten, a fee for the band that we will basically move forward and we'll do a study on, because this was an idea that was brought up at our last meeting. Could be provided outside the school day, which we didn't think of before, and so we want to follow through, and then a fee for athletics. And remember, you guys could decide whatever the fee is. The numbers we're showing here are what you need in order to basically be cost neutral with our current conditions. And things can change, right? The state can shortchange us $168,000, and Dr. Schilling actually brought that to our attention. If property tax goes through, we're going to lose another $168,000. So the conditions have changed, which mean the numbers can change. And as sad as it may sound, these are our realities. But today, present-day values, that's what you see here. And I see there's a question here.
Yeah, excuse me. The 2.5 positions that you stated would be cut at the elementary school. Would that potentially be reduced or increased depending on how many That's assuming the half-day kindergarten, correct? Is that
Correct.
right?
That 2.5 is specifically for kindergarten. So if the board decides that we're going to charge a fee, and we're able to meet that obligation with an enrollment that's conducive to what's presented here, then the 2.5 positions, or the second half of the day, if you will, because we're only required to apply the half day, would kick in the additional 2.5 coming back in, because now you've covered the cost.
That's provided that every parent can pay the fee.
That's exactly it.
It'll be as
It would require 100%, essentially.
to do 2.5 more. Basically, what we're saying is, if the class size is 20 in kindergarten, it's still going to be 20. He's only going to get 4 hours of kindergarten instead of 6 hours.
But the 2.5 then assumes that nobody essentially signs up for the full day. Or am
That's
I
correct.
wrong?
That's correct. So in other words, the 2.5, the reduction of 2.5 at kindergarten is what the district is required to provide, half-day kindergarten.
Gotcha.
No more.
Okay.
That's all we're required to do.
And so the proposal
By law.
basically is that we would figure out what the break-even points are and what the fees would be. So like if you had 15 parents, let's use 20 hypothetically. So if you decide to offer a fee, what would happen is we would have an open enrollment period, and if 20 parents signed up, there's a section. And if there's another 20, another section. So we just keep going until we didn't have enough parents to make it cost neutral.
Thank you.
When do we need to make these decisions? So this is good that this is like the second month in a row or third month that we're going through these numbers. When do you anticipate us needing to take action on some of the decisions?
Well, first of all, the stipends you can do whenever you want, other than just procedure, how you want to let the community know, because I'd let them know earlier than later, okay? As far as the kindergarten, that affects, it would affect how many people may be reemployed. And I think the question there is, when are you going to do open enrollment for kindergarten? I would say you do it before the end of the school year. So you would want to know if you're going to do it fee-based, because we want to let parents know in the community for at least 2 or 3 months in advance that we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sign up, we will have a teacher there for you if there's enough students. But if you don't sign up, then you plan on half day. And as far as the band goes, that does affect one position for sure, depending on how you want to do it. And if you want to run the full program, that's the one that's going to vary the most, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, if I was to direct the board, I think this is a decision we have to make by January,
Yeah.
because there's quite a few staffing assignments that we have to do, as well as a contract that I have to follow, the collective bargaining agreement, and so we have a lot of steps that we have to do. In my mind, unless I'm told otherwise, I think the board gave the directive that scenario one, the $883,000, is the direction we're going. Is that your statement? Yeah. Okay. Right now, by January, so our next board meeting, we'll get some more, and that's part of the conversation here. Like, what more does the Board of Education need? What information do you need in order for you to feel good about, not great, but good about decision 1, 2, and 3. Decision 1 is basically having band, from what I'm hearing, at the 0 hour. Decision 2 is the kindergarten, whether or not we're going to have a kindergarten fee. And then decision 3A and 3B is the fee for both athletics and co-curricular activities. But in my mind, I believe that this is something that we're going to need to know in January. We need to make a decision by January, because there's a lot of planning. I can tell you there's a lot of planning that goes into the kindergarten. It's very robust, and it's very time-consuming. And there's going to be a lot of information that we're going to have to get out very, very early. And the packets for our kindergarten program are pretty thick. They're not thin. And we do have stray people walk in. People walk in very late in that program. So the earlier, to Craig's point, the earlier we let people know, the better it's going to be. And the more likely we're going to be to meet the numbers that we need to sustain the program.
Is there any other information that the board would like to see?
I guess the other part is seeing about the park district. I know it was talked about before, but about the park district, if they were running, since I guess we're allowed to have them run the sports, what the fee would be out off of that, if they're even interested in doing it, the park district.
So I'm going to rephrase what you said. So you would like us to direct the superintendent to investigate if the park district could do it, and if they did do it, what the fee would be.
Correct.
Is anyone opposed to directing, getting that information? Direction.
And would I be correct, the other two things that you'd want to see are the cost analysis of a zero period,
Yes.
and the other thing would be is, I would suggest the other thing that we should do is go back and look at a couple fee scenarios on the kindergarten, because if we can get it down to a smaller number, we might be able, and if it's not too much more expensive, we might be able to accommodate more students, you know, so that we wouldn't have to turn them away, you know.
Okay.
Well, I guess, yeah, with that though, is that the new law though, 15 instead of 20 or 20?
There's no
There's no defined thing?
There's
or
no law. There's a recommendation. The
Recommendation.
evidence-based model for 15. I'm only suggesting it because if the cutoff is 20, and then you get another 18 students who
Correct.
don't offer the program
Correct.
because you didn't have enough money. But if you plan the fee based on 15, and you get 15 students and another 15,
You're
I
inviting
can kind
more.
of take all 30 of them.
Correct.
And if there were 33, I'm only turning 3 away instead of 18 away.
Right.
That's why I'm suggesting we go back and look at that.
Right.
Because I'm trying to make it, so we can accommodate as many people as we want.
Okay.
It'll give us a little bit more leeway too.
Right.
If, for example, if it's
Exactly.
15 to
Right.
20.
If 22 signed up, we just take 22, it's not the end of the world. But if we base it on 15, every 15, we can,
We'll open up a section.
we can start another section.
Can we also look perhaps at the clubs? I think that's the one thing that we didn't talk about. We talked about the fee for athletics, but the club fee, how many clubs are we exactly talking about? How many students participate in these? If we were to maybe eliminate some of the ones that don't have as many students participating, you know what I mean, what that would look like. And I don't know how you could pull those numbers, but
Oh, I think I had the numbers for all the ones that have a limit on them. I think I even had some of the other numbers, but I think we can pull that.
Mm-hmm.
to see if maybe we were to reduce some of the numbers of the clubs, if that fee would then go down.
My only caution there is going to be that and this is just for a whole child kind of concept. When kids go to the high school, they all need something, a niche, something to be interested in, and so I would find it hard to totally justify just having a small group of athletes, 15 on a team, to have a way to participate in something, because then kids don't have anything they participated in, at the middle school level going to high school, and they're looking for stuff. I think it's nice to offer at least
Oh, absolutely.
some breadth, and maybe they could be relooked at, and maybe we could come up with some new things that kids would even enjoy more if we hadn't thought of, to get them interested.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Schilling? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.